Welcome to Still Plays Galaxy of Heroes. We are back with a roster update video, and our general structure of these address any marquees and recent unlocks, our progress towards our major projects, Datacrons and Omicrons with our new Datacron set number 16. We got a video on that. There's a lot of changes with Datacrons that you got to be aware of. We are going to be making some changes on Datacrons. Possibly that'll happen in the next video though, because what we have a lot to deal with is the new Naboo raid. And we have to make some changes that are raid related that are going to be pretty significant, and a lot of this stuff is not budgeted for because there's a few pieces of information that we need to be juggling. One, here's my favorite characters, the people that we've been working on, looking at. We got progress on Padawan Obi-Wan. This is something that we're going to take care of right now. Just take him up to 6 stars. We're farming him pretty quickly. We are less than 50 shards away from 7 stars, and that's as far as we're going to be able to bring him today, but that's some progress that should boost the new raid a little bit. Although with my Padawan, with my Cadme squad, I think we were getting pretty close to full banners on the lowest tier. And maybe it was full banners, I just don't remember it in this moment. They all blur together. And then the other major item here is the Night Trooper Marquee. And here, I like to save all my gearing up for these videos. We are taking him up immediately to gear 11. I believe from you can check out the video that I have on him, but it was only 2 Kairos up to gear 11, which is on the low, is slightly below average. It's 2 to 3 on average for characters. Most characters require 3, so it's probably like 2.5 on average or whatever. So now we can take advantage of him. We'll drop on these Omegas. I like to save these for the video for some reason. We're definitely putting on Zetas right away. This one felt good. Actually, I think we're going to hold off on this one for now. I do like the AoE turn meter removal, but what I suspect is with this vulnerable, that might be more valuable as we get more characters towards this squad. The vulnerable does help with the basic. There is, if you land a crit, you land healing immunity, but that is minimal to me. I don't think we need to make any. I don't think that is worth a Zeta right now. So we are actually going to save that Zeta. Not that we are really in need of it right now. This one we will put on. This one I think is important and I like. And the other thing that we're going to do, actually we're going to save it for the next video because it's an off week. There's no reason to do it now. We could do it, but whatever. We'll just give ourselves a little bit more content because we have to come back early. Because right now, we are technically recording this video earlier than I would prefer to do it. Because what I like to do is to record these videos just prior to Grand Arena. So during this Conquest week, I usually don't do a roster update. So we can save as much as possible for the Grand Arena roster update. In this case, this is what I'm looking at with the Datacrons. We'll quickly talk through this. We'll probably spend a little bit more time on it, but we don't need to do it this week. The top 2 rows here, these are the Datacrons I will be targeting. Actually, Sabine's in the wrong area. She should be in the close area where I need to add a relic to her so that I can use her Datacron. Stormtrooper Han, same deal. I've got a Sana squad ready to go except for Han. And then Nihilus, I do have Nihilus at relics. I do need to take him up to relic 5, but really it's because Scion needs to get relic so that I have a squad to use. Although in a 3v3 season, we may not need all of these characters. Like, we don't need to relic Scion in order to use the Nihilus relic during a 3v3 season because we can just use Savage in that space instead. So it's something where we can be careful with how we're using Kairos, and that's going to be very important for this update, for this video. The other things here, we got a pending section. I think we'll spend a little bit more time on this later in the video. And then these are the Datacrons I'm just outright skipping. Some of these are good. Like, I like the Geonosian Soldier one. I kind of like the Vandor, even the Ewok Elder one's really good if you have Murder Bears. I don't. And so it is too many relics for me to go after those Datacrons. Like Sortie, I'd love to have a Sortie squad. I'd get it if I had one, but right now that's a T3M4 relic. It's possibly like an L3 or a Lobot relic. It's just too much to consider, so it has to get eliminated because the major thing going on right now are the raids, and I need to be building out these squads so that I can up my score, and right now is the time to do it because this is when we'll get the maximal benefit towards my roster. But because of how much is going on right now, it's pretty difficult difficult to relic up all these characters, because one of the things that we do in all these videos is we like to establish a little bit of context. And this is the status of my gear hoard and what we've been working on. We got this Gungan column. This is for Jar Jar. We know we've got a month minimum until Jar Jar shows up. I know there's an exact date, but after we get Jar Jar, a couple days, it's going to be about a month or just slightly over a month. Now this we are in pretty good position for. I don't need to be too careful, but it also means I can burn some of these Kairos because I know we're going to have time to make them back. Same thing with the signal data. We've got time to get some of those back. This raid column, includes Cadme, POW, Master Qui-Gon, characters that I can't bring up to a higher tier and use the squad for a higher score because I still have to farm shards. And because of that, some of these Kairos, like that are dedicated towards a Cadme or a POW, they can wait. So those Kairos can go to other characters right now, knowing that I've got probably another month before we'll have Master Qui-Gon, because he's not even farmable yet. And it takes about, depending on where he lands, it's going to take about a month and a half to farm his shards. Oh, no, actually less than that, because he's already at 5 stars because of the bonus drop. It'll take like a month or whatever, because we do have a head start. But if you're starting from 3 stars, it would be a month and a half if you refresh like I do. So it does mean we can address some other characters. Luminara is within this column, but there's a few other characters I'm considering for this video, which would be Stap and Kit Fisto, who are not counted for within this spreadsheet. So it does mean we need to be a little bit more careful, and why it's good that we have the time on POW, Master Qui-Gon, and Jar Jar, so I can now take some of those Kairos and give them away. This is the known characters for Ahsoka, which is pretty minimal. This number is going to get pretty massive. The placeholder column I had for GL Ray has now been eliminated now that we have our target GL that we are going for. We just don't know all the requirements yet. And this relic column, this is unchanged, but it also isn't important right now because everything else is a larger priority. This was always luxuries, and those luxuries now get completely set aside. These are the raid squads I was theorizing prior to the raid getting released, so there is some fine-tuning that needs to be done here, but I was speculating like these characters in the bottom we were just going to ignore, and then these were the characters based on our 5 attempts, the squads that we were going to be building out. Now, Newt, there are versions where they have B2 lead. I'm not going to do that right now because that is too many extra relics. What we do know is Stap, always a character I was expecting to require for the raid. We're going to just do this one right now. One of the things that I've been doing with Newt lead is I've been somewhat satisfied with the scores I've been getting with a Newt lead. I've been getting on the Relic 3 tier about 800k, and that is just enough where I'm somewhat satisfied for the moment. We could go higher, we could look at other characters, but what it means is the signal data that I don't have enough of right now would just be burned up, and we got to be a little bit more judicious with how we're using that signal data. So right now, this is a more affordable team that we can build, which is just adding Stap in place of B1 onto a squad of Relic 5, Sith, and Separatist characters, because I don't want to, and I've been using IG-100 on that team. So that was a character I thought that I was going to ignore, but I actually think a tank is pretty important. B2 might be able to fulfill that role, but right now it is much more important to me to be able to take a character like Luminara up to relics, because it was always clear from reading through the bonuses on these characters and some of the mechanics on these characters that Luminara is going to be a critical character and a critical squad. We are going to take her up to Relic 1 for the moment because I got to be careful with these resources. That'll get us to, I think, the second tier, tier 2. That'll be fine for now. I got to reassess after to see where I am with the other gear. And now with Luminara, Kit Fisto is basically mandatory as well. So we're going to take him up to relics, and this is part of the reason why we're being careful with how high we're taking these characters up to relics. If it was just Luminara, I'd probably go to Relic 5. But what I can't do is take both Luminara and Kit up to Relic 5. So Relic 1 for the moment. We'll reassess where I am with my signal data and then make further plans. But this at least will get me a fairly decent score, I think above 3 million total with all the teams. And then one of the other items I'll do here, these other Jedi characters. Ethkos has actually been very good in the raid with the Kelleran team that I threw him on, so I'm going to make him better. I left all my Jedi, not all my Jedi, the remaining Jedi that I had at gear 11, I left them at gear 11 just so that if we ever had a character that unlocked how to utilize all of these low quality Galactic Republic Jedi, I would be able to do some gear 11 testing. That never happened. So what we are going to do, I really don't want to do that. Oh my, who cares about defense down? We'll do the damage. We don't need a leader, and we will do that, because that is raid relevant with the extra damage to attacking droids. Yeah, who cares? I needed to read it again to make sure. Those old Omegas are no good. We're going to take Guardian up to gear 12 just because she's in the raid, but I don't expect we're going to utilize this character, so I'm not even going to throw on these Omegas right now unless something else happens. They're very bad Omegas. Not that I need to be careful with Omegas, it's just the principle of the thing. But that allows me to now take all these characters up to tier 1, and that's part of the reason, or it is the reason why we are doing this video today and not next week, because I gotta up my raid scores so that I'm getting as many of my personal rewards that I can, and also so that I'm contributing towards the guild in order for the guild to be getting the best crate possible. Now, Cadme I could take up to relics or something right now, but we are gonna hold off because we can't. I want to do gear 11 testing with these characters during 3v3, and because we can advance higher in the raid. Now with these Datacron related potential relics and relics that we do have, we're not going to do any of these today just because we can't benefit from them, and I also don't know which Datacrons we're going to be able to have unlocked by the time Grand Arena starts. So we can afford to save some of these resources until we have more information to make some informed decisions. Now this again is what I'm looking for. I do really like this Sabine one. The Barris Offie one is also extremely good. Watt and Fist Nest, those are all high priority targets to me. Stormtrooper Han as well, that one sounds very good to me. What I do want to mention is Cup and Young Han. Those are some excellent Datacrons, and they're in this pending section because these are all Datacrons that would be very good to have, but I don't fully have the squads to capitalize on them. Like Young Han, I could probably just throw him into any scoundrel squads who's probably worth doing, maybe even like a Sana squad or some other squad, or just pair him with Hondo and some other characters. So that might be worth doing. Iden, that's another one I really like. I think it's going to be super annoying, but that would probably mean another 2 to 3 relics on other troopers that I don't have relicked yet. Gar Saxon's the same thing. I don't have Imperial Super Commando, so it's just a bunch of extra relics in order for me to take advantage. Cup, this one I could technically just put his relic on and throw him onto like a JMK squad or a Padme squad, and he would do a ton of work. The problem with that is what happens when the Datacron's gone. But I'm still considering it because there is a good chance that Cup becomes a GL Ahsoka requirement. So what I think I'm going to do is get the Cup Kron, and just in case he becomes a requirement. If he becomes a requirement, I'm taking him up to relics, immediately putting that Datacron on. Otherwise, we'll just let it expire and shift into the next set of Crons. But anything pending and above, I'm probably getting all of these Datacrons this next time around. And we got that Datacron video you can check out if you want to see my fuller thoughts on these. And I also rank them into tiers where you can see how I prioritize these. And we'll wrap it up there. I expect to be back doing another one of these roster update videos in a week for those Datacrons. But in the meantime, we'll be experimenting with the raid. We'll probably put out something related to the raid. I don't know what yet. My guild got to the raid a little bit later just so that we could maximize our Mark III materials instead of delaying the raid and getting less Mark III materials, both from the lower performance in the new raid, which would be expected, and from just having multiple days of not participating in raids. But I do think I'll put out some sort of video about the squads that I'm utilizing and the scores that I'm getting, just to contribute to the amount of information out there. But thank you for watching. Be excellent to each other, everybody. This is Still Plays Galaxy of Heroes.